Supergirl Season 2, Episode 14, Homecoming. Now, this was supposed to be a really nice episode. Of course, we end up getting the characters going up against Cadmus as they're, I don't know, seemingly on like a tarmac. It was just like a really odd straight path that they were driving down. And they beat up Cadmus, they beat up the people, they, have a really cool moment where John slams on the ground and all three of the trucks flip at the same time and he phases through the one in front of him. I thought that was probably my favorite part of that whole chase sequence. And they beat up the bad guys, and they find out that the cargo Cadmus was carrying was actually Jeremiah. So they rescue Jeremiah. He returns home to his family. He returns to the DEO. Everybody's super happy to see him. He's been gone for over a decade. They've had him captured. And it was supposed to be nice. And that was it. It was supposed to be simple. He returned. The family gets to be together again. He gets to see his daughters and his wife, and they all get to see him, and he's fine, minus a messed up hand. And then things start to unravel a little bit. And at first, it's just suspicion. Of course, we have Mon-El who's like, it's crazy that any other time we have to deal with Cadmus, we only get warned because they do like some sort of citywide, PA and public announcement. I was about PA announcement doesn't make sense. But he had a great point. Of course, it's like, why would they be, sending out a signal when they are transporting the most precious cargo that they could possibly have, where they've had this guy who's probably a certified genius forcing him to do all sorts of things to make them better against other aliens, and somehow they just happen to send out a signal as they're, like I said, just driving down this open plain, and suddenly he's saved. It seems a little suspicious to Mon-El. Of course, it doesn't seem that way to anyone else, so he's kind of the outcast for a bit, and he's able to convince Wynn to kind of join his side and say like, hey, something's going on. And of course, Wynn ends up seeing him breaking into the database, and it's like, well, that's super suspicious, so that's how they end up getting Kara on board. And I think at that point, it made a ton of sense. I felt like, of course with Alex, it really sucked because of course she was in a tiny bit of denial, I think, at that point, because it is super suspicious. It's like he was literally on a full tour with John. Like, why wouldn't he just say, hey, what happened during these moments? Like, he could literally talk to us and it would be better because it would just mean more time with our dad. And it's like, yeah, that should seem real suspicious to anybody. Like, even if that's the truth, it's still insanely suspicious, which I also thought they didn't think to check that, like, ahead of time, like, what did he look into or something like that. But either way, it was still suspicious. Like, why in the world would he even need to do that? But I like the way it starts to play out. And it's like, no, he's still the nice guy, and it goes that way until like the very end of the episode, which kind of surprised me. I thought they'd find out like halfway through, but it was like, nope, he just has an excuse, or it's just Mon-El being crazy, or Wynn being crazy, or them tracking him down as he ends up having an actual reason for doing what he did. And then, of course, we get to the end where there's supposed to be the bomb, and that's when, of course, everything comes to light. And the whole episode, honestly, I thought he was like a robot or something. I was like, either he's mind controlled or something else is going on. And when John said, like, why can't I read your mind? I was like, oh, he's a robot or something like that. That's what I assumed. And then it goes through and it's like, no, it's actually him. Like, even with the robot arm, I was like, oh, he's like, I thought for a minute as well, like, maybe this is Cyborg Superman, like, physically changed and stuff, and then he, like, tear the face off and be, like, some Mission Impossible stuff or something. I don't know. They've got robot parts, so I didn't think it was that crazy. And it keeps going through, and it's like, nope, he's not, brainwashed. He is not a fake robot. He's not Cyborg Superman posing as him. It's just him. Like, we don't really know what the F is going on. It's actually him. He does have an actual robot arm, and for whatever reason, the augmentations that he has mentally allow it so that he can't have his mind read either. And it was just crazy. I was like, oh, this is legitimately him. And it kind of made me sad at the end, because I thought for sure the whole time it wasn't going to be him. It would be like some fake person posing as him, or some robot that had like his memories or something like that. And it was like, nope, this is legitimately him. It is Jeremiah Danvers. He came back, and it's actually him. And he's still working with Cadmus, and they still, all the information we find out at the end was the alien registry for every alien in the country. And it just shocked me. Like I said, I was still kind of surprised by the fact that it was actually even him. They're going through chase sequences and stuff, and I'm just kind of waiting. I'm like, there's supposed to be a big reveal that it's not really him, right? And it's like, nope, it was him the whole time. So I was very surprised that that's how it actually played out, where it was legitimately him. It wasn't some, robot version of him or anything like that, him being mind controlled, like I said. It was legitimately him of his own free will doing this. And we'll have to see what happens in this next episode, because there is a part where he says, like, they're going to slaughter, all the aliens and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just so confused. Like, is there somewhere in there, because he mentions in this episode that him working for Cadmus isn't the whole story. So I'm like, there's got to be something that he understands or that he knows maybe only he can do if they trust him. Like, that's all I can think. That's the only possible explanation. But considering his character, I feel like there's just a million other ways that they could have done it. Like, a simple way would have been, hey, it turns out I'm actually working with Cadmus. They think I'm on their side, but I'm not. I'm telling you guys so you know the truth. That's why they let me go. This is what's supposed to happen. They want the alien registry. This way we can combat that ahead of time, think up some plans. But none of that happened. It could easily be said as well, considering the whole robot aspect. It could easily be said, like, yeah, they have tabs on me. They know everything I say and everything I do. That's an easy way to get out of that in the next episode, if that happens to be the case. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, he seemed like he was kind of on board, but like I said, it's kind of up in the air. It was actually him, but there still could be elements to it where it is him being somewhat controlled, and he either his options are do as they say and make whatever this random deal was, or just be killed and that's it, or fully turned into a robot that has no free will, something like that. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in this episode. It still surprised me, like I said, it wasn't some fake version, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until the next episode, and then we'll see really how everything's supposed to play out. Because of course he still cares for his daughters, because like the part where Kara goes to save the train and Alex almost has the tree fall on her, he freaks out. He's like, Alex, and he kind of freaks out a little. And I was like, okay, well, I was kind of surprised at that point that he actually cared even that much. And I was like, all right, so there's still some actual emotion there where he cares for the people that he's always cared about, but obviously it's the whole other side of it where he's still working with Cadmus. So I was like, what in the world is he planning? So I'm hoping that there's some good side to this in the next episode that gets revealed, and he's kind of deep cover sort of deal. That's all I can honestly think of. But like I said, I still feel like it just made more sense, unless they do go the route where I say like he's like, yeah, I couldn't say anything because they had tabs on me, and something simple like that, because that wouldn't surprise me at all. It's such an easy way to get out of it. They gave him the robot arm. Somewhere in there is a microphone. Boom, it's done. So if that ends up being the case, I wouldn't be shocked in the next episode. That's how they do the big reveal. Like, I had no choice. I either had to make this deal to be set free afterwards, or I would be killed. And if I tried to tell you guys, while on this mission, I would be killed as well. Like, there could be a bomb inside the robot arm. We don't even know. Like, you just don't know. But I am excited to see this next episode. I'm glad that it's not just he showed up in this episode and then the next episode was something else, because they've done that before where it's like, they do this in TV in general, where you think something big happens and you're like, I can't wait to see how they explore that in the next episode, and then the next episode is like a filler episode, or it's a totally different story arc that can still be important, but not like, I thought this would definitely carry on into next week. So I was really happy to see that the promo still focused directly on Jeremiah and what he's doing with Cadmus and what they're doing with this alien registration. The end of this episode, it seemed like they had almost like, it looked like a giant dropship or something like that. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like their version of the Ark, like Noah's Ark or something, but, they destroy all the aliens around them and they're safe or something. But either way, I'm actually looking forward to this next episode. And I think this one did a pretty good job with the emotional element of bringing a character back and having, that level of trust that goes to the point of denial a little bit, especially for Alex, because she was the one that was there, especially because it was her actual biological father. Because even for Kara, Jeremiah's her dad, but she even calls both her parents, she was like, Jeremiah and Eliza, she calls them by their first names because she still has her actual parents as memories for her. Like, she wasn't a baby like Clark was, so it was a little different. So it was like, okay, of course, it would still affect Alex a lot more, even though Kara does still care. So I like the way they played on that emotion where you have that sense of denial and it keeps going and it keeps going until it finally gets to the point where, you can't possibly deny it, and we see, at least based off the promo, it kind of pushes Alex a lot for this next episode, and it seems like she kind of maybe goes a little gung-ho on her own, and that could lead to some pretty dangerous situations. I'm sure she'll be fine, because she's like one of 5 main characters, so I'm not that worried about it, but that seems like where they're headed in this next episode, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. We got a little bit of a hint towards Mon-El, where Jeremiah's like, I know who you are, and I don't think that Kara would exactly like the truth. So that was interesting. Maybe he's a bit more than we believed. That I mentioned it before. That story he told where, like, the prince let him go free. What if that was totally fake? What if, he killed the prince? What if he is the prince? Who knows? I mean, we don't know anything. That was just the story he told, and there's a bunch of people looking for him. So maybe he is actually the prince on Dax. I mean, he mentions his father as well in this episode, so maybe his father's still alive, and that's why these people are searching for him, because he is the prince, and maybe he wasn't as in line with some of the, Daxamite customs as some of the other Daxamites were. So, just a little reference to that. They're still holding it off. I really want some answers on that, because it's driving me crazy. Just, like, wondering, why are these people searching for him? What's the actual story for, when Daxam fell? Like I said, was he the prince? That sort of thing. So, there's just a lot to it. It just makes me really curious, like, what in the world is going on with his character right now that they just aren't talking about? They do these small references, and then episodes and episodes go by and we get, like, no answers. So, I'm really waiting for this stuff. By the end of the season, I'm sure we'll get our answer officially why these people are looking for him, but it's just driving me crazy at this point. It's just like every 4 or 5 episodes, we get like a little hint, like, okay, the Dominator last time, it was like, don't shoot him, he's protector, like, let him go free. Just weird little stuff. It's like, what is going on? So that's driving me crazy. Every little hint, I'm just like, I need more answers for this. I need way more stuff. But enjoyed this episode for sure. Looking forward to the next one and seeing where they go with, Cadmus having this information and what they're actually going to utilize it for. Well, we kind of know what they're going to utilize it for, but how is it ultimately going to play out is what I'm interested in. But, of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And what did you guys think about Jeremiah working for Katniss? Like, do you think it's him, is this deal basically so that he doesn't die and he can go to his family? Do you think he's actually working with Katniss? Do you think that they were keeping tabs on him to make sure he followed through with the deal, and that's why, he had to fight back and couldn't tell them the truth? Where do you think he actually lies as far as being a good guy or being a bad guy? And I'm sure we'll get the answer in the next episode, but of course, that's what theories are for. So I'd love to know what you guys think about that, and of course, this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.